So I have a few slides, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. But I do want to set a little bit of an agenda about what some of the dynamics are in the industry, and some of my experience with identity. And certainly the last few years, I've been hearing a lot from the executives that I've been talking to regarding what they're doing to further their business. This whole aspect of digital transformation is a huge strategic effort at a lot of companies right now. And a couple of facts that I've highlighted here is just how important this is to customers. When you hear that 92% of firms are shifting budget to better expand their digital transformation efforts, when they're planning on increasing their digital transformation budgets, or when they consider this top point, which I think is the most important. 94% people think that digital transformation is essential to their company's future success. So it's really something that's front and center with many companies' boards of directors and many companies' senior executives. And then the other thing, this sort of speaks a little bit more to my experience in doing identity management and being involved in many different identity management companies over the years. One, I think, very clear fact is, literally, it's hard to say 100%, but 99 out of 100 companies that I've ever talked to all want integration with an ITSM system. There are so many systems out there that don't have provisioning capabilities, or don't have APIs, or don't have web services capabilities, that there's this whole last mile of things that need to be provisioned or deprovisioned, or work that needs to be done on behalf of an end user, a task. So there's always this, hey, we have to do this. We have to have our ITSM system integrated with our identity and access governance, or identity and access management system. Another thing that I've noticed, since 1993, I tell the story of a company I met back in my first year at Zoomit, who was doing a IAM project, and basically didn't choose us. But a couple of years later, I heard back from the same person at the same company. They were now taking that product out and putting in another one, and we bid on that. And literally, this company, who I've known for quite some time, one of the major credit card companies, is on their fourth or fifth rip and replace right now. And this is more commonplace than you think. I've seen it over and over again, and it's something that actually bothers me a little bit, to be honest, because people put so much effort into this. Another thing is, there've been a ton of identity standards over the last few years, but one of the biggest problems is there's no actual sort of platform standards. And what I mean by that is, when a customer builds a workflow, or a customer integrates with a system, the way that you do that is very different from one IAM or IGA solution to another. It's not standardized. LDAP is standardized, sure. SAML is standardized, sure. But workflow, how you connect, and how you use AI, how you use ML, not standardized. So anytime you're thinking about changing vendors, you have a problem, because all that effort and time and money is basically sunk. So the other thing is, which is an interesting parallel to something like ServiceNow, is there's just a huge amount of time and effort on re-engineering business processes. So it almost makes sense, when I looked at all these things, to say to myself, well, rather than using something like ServiceNow, or thinking about ITSM as the last mile, why couldn't it be, maybe the first mile, or where you start? Also, some of the other problems around IGA, which have become apparent, as things have evolved, is the costs and the infrastructure associated with IGA, whether it's software cost, the investment in servers, or the investment in cloud, the fact that you have to go out and hire people who are specialized in that particular vendor's product. You need partners that are experienced in that particular vendor's product. And ultimately, what ends up happening is, it becomes very difficult for you to achieve that ROI that you have basically promised to the customer. And another thing, and Martin mentioned this a little bit, is the employee experience. Employee experience is getting more and more important. It's just one of the many pieces around multi-channel experience, partner experience, customer experience, user experience. And every time you change platform or any platform that you typically use, you have to be trained on that. You have new tools, you have new interfaces. All of these things basically hamper employee productivity. And again, another sort of liminal moment for me was starting to hear over the last few years customers say, "Hey, could you make the interface look like ServiceNow?" All of our employees like that interface. They know what it takes to work with on a daily basis. We want it to look that way so we don't have to retrain people. And then the other thing, which I think is really key, is this whole aspect of the identity management silo of all this information for your IGA product being outside of what the company is going through from a digital transformation perspective. One of the key things about digital transformation is trying to simplify architectures, reduce silos, pull together a common data plane for actions across an organization, building these workflows, as Martin mentioned, across all these pieces of data. And it's really difficult to do that when you have these silos of data, because there are more places to break and more things to be concerned about and more integrations that you have to have. So, in thinking about all this and all of these issues, what we wanted to do was start focusing on IGA innovation. And I mean, that's, for me, is what I would rather do. I would rather be working on the innovation part versus the building block part. My last role when I was at another company, we spent a lot of time worrying about, what kind of database do we build our product on? What's the workflow engine that we're going to use? What about the reporting engine? What about the end user portal? What are all these things and how do we build them? And we spent a tremendous amount of time on that. When I really wanted to spend my time on things like, access requests and access reviews, where the real value was. And then a lot of customers and a lot of vendors start thinking about having IGA on, infrastructure as a service. So that does simplify things. If you run a solution in the cloud and it's on AWS or it's on Azure or it's on the Google Cloud, you don't have to worry about things like the operating system, the network and the firewall and those kind of things. And there is a bonus to that. But at the same point in time, you're still worried about all these other things. From an IGA, as an IGA vendor, you still have to build a reporting engine, you still have to build a workflow engine and a scheduler and all those kind of things. And it's, again, detracting a little bit from the parts that I think you want your identity vendor to be the expert and spending most of their time on. So the fascinating thing to me was when I started thinking about and discussing with Skye about ServiceNow as a platform, as a service. Because when you really look at ServiceNow and you look at what its capabilities are, you start to see that it has all of these base capabilities that I don't particularly, as an identity vendor, want to have to fool around with. I don't really want to have to be worried about the database and the scheduler. In fact, I don't even want to be worried about the workflow engine. I just want to use a great workflow engine. Same for reporting, same for the end user portal. So what we're really trying to do at Skye is let ServiceNow be ServiceNow. Let it be the expert in all the things that it does well, and let us basically manage the things which as an identity vendor, I think is where, I want to spend my time and my intellectual capacity with my team figuring out all these different things as best possible. I also think as a customer, that's probably where you would like us to be spending our time too on a lot of these different things. So, I want to just for a few minutes talk about ServiceNow, because I did not know a lot about ServiceNow before working at Skye. I did some investigation, and as an employee, when I was in the last couple of companies I've been at, you use ServiceNow for day-to-day activities. If you need to order something, or if you need to get an entitlement or access to something, or get a printer fixed, it was commonplace, and everyone knew how to use it, how to use the application catalog, those kind of things. But when I kind of looked behind the curtain to see who ServiceNow was, in all honesty, I was really blown away, because I had no idea this was a $4 billion company. I had no idea that they had so many customers around the world. They've got about 11,000 employees, and about a third of those are in R&D. They spent $750,000 on R&D, or $750 million on R&D in 2019. And I think a couple of the other things that just were really amazing to me is 3 million daily active users and 20 billion customer transactions per month. I mean, literally in every job that I've had, people are asking us about our SaaS platform. Does it scale? Prove it. How many people can it support? Do you have data centers in my location? Where are your data centers around the world? What are your redundancy capabilities? What are your certifications? And all of these things ServiceNow already has and already does to support these users. I mean, literally blew me away. The other thing, and I think this is really key, and I think Martin touched a little bit about it, and certainly Jessica from ServiceNow did, ServiceNow was way more than ITSM. It's all of these other capabilities too. Most of the customers started obviously with ITSM. That is where ServiceNow started, but they've got GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. They've got DevOps, security operations, IT operations management. They've got a ton of integrations with different platforms. Pretty amazing stuff. And then, of course, the other thing, which really amazed me and made me think really seriously about ServiceNow as a platform as a service, was the fact that they were in leadership positions in many of these different product lines and solutions, and in some cases visionaries in some of them also. And we started to see more and more customers that we would talk to that had ServiceNow HR or ServiceNow GRC or SecOps, and we're looking at how they could basically enhance that. When I looked at all these things, I thought, this is a really interesting opportunity for a vendor like Skye to build something on top of this platform and leverage all this capability that ServiceNow is building and working on. In a number of my last positions, we've had to hire our own people who are smart in data science and artificial intelligence and machine learning, and workflows and user experience. Well, we don't need to do that now. And as I mentioned in that last slide, we get to concentrate on those things which are of most value to us. So Skye, what we're trying to do is accelerate a company's identity digital transformation. And the way that we want to do that is build on ServiceNow, which is truly a transformative cloud-based workflow engine and digital transformation platform. I think it's an amazing platform. Leverage the workflows and business processes that people are already inventing. I mean, if you really think about it, part of digital transformation is reinventing your business. As well stated earlier, behind every great experience is a great workflow. So we definitely want to leverage that. And we also want to just remove that whole need for a standalone identity platform, whether it's standalone on-premise, as Paul was talking about earlier, or whether it's standalone in the cloud. You don't need that investment. You've already made an investment in ServiceNow, and you've already got that capability. Carry on with it. So from a general capabilities perspective, Skye has a very broad set of capabilities for its identity governance and access product on the Now platform. We actually operate as part of the Now platform. We're not integrated with, we're built on the Now platform. We can help with identity lifecycle management, access request, access review, workflow management, all of those general capabilities. So as we like to say, everything is better when identity governance is built and lives on ServiceNow and in ServiceNow. You can govern all business applications. Like I said, everybody wants to integrate their business applications and all of these systems with ITSM in the end. It's one portal for everything. It's a native product on the Now platform. It's not integrated. It's cloud delivered with on-premise flexibility. And as I mentioned, there's proven scalability and security. And I think back to the point about, every great experience has a great workflow. ServiceNow is the smarter way to workflow. And we want to leverage all of those different capabilities. I think this is one thing that I really like about ServiceNow is we have all of these different products, whether, as I mentioned before, ITOM or GRC or HR or our product for that matter, on the ServiceNow platform. And basically, ServiceNow is managing everything for us and for their own products, secure and governed data, access to all the data, near zero maintenance as a service, virtually unlimited performance and scale. And the key thing, which is really important, is it's one platform, one copy of data and many workloads. So there's this data plane, the part in green, where all this data is secured and governed by the ServiceNow platform that the different products can access. And we think that's where there's a tremendous amount of value for customers in the fact that we're sitting with that data and we're integrating with that data. So we believe identity governance belongs on ServiceNow. It's a very different conceptual way of thinking about things. We totally believe in the Now platform for digital transformation. It is the thing that's connecting people, functions, and systems to help our customers, to help companies in general, to drive innovation, increase business agility, and productivity. And I wanted to kind of finish with sort of a little bit of a call to action in thinking about this. I really wanted us to be able to help customers join the digital transformation revolution that's going on, to pull identity up from being a tactical competing with other security programs for below the line budget to being part of something that's really strategic. Get out from being just part of IT and transform into the business, not be as IT staff focused, but employee, customer, and partner focused. Really pull identity, as I say here, from being tactical to strategic. And I think the other thing to do is recognize, in a lot of ways, that the technical, the process, the data and architectural debt that you are presently incurring as an identity silo is strangling you. You've built workflows that are specific to your IGA solution. You've built workflows that are different than what's on the ServiceNow platform. Process is different, the data is different, the technical aspects of the product are different, the AI is different, as I mentioned, the machine learning is different. All of these things are architectural debt. So I think from our perspective, we really feel strongly that this is something that releases you and allows a company like us to work on those really important identity governance, administration, identity management capabilities at the top and not have to worry about all of the other architectural issues, process issues, workflow issues. That's all handled by ServiceNow. So with that, I think there's probably enough time, I hope, for a question or two. I'd be happy to answer.